Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. In today's action-packed aviation news recap, there's focus on the 737 MAX once more, and it's not necessarily the best news. Over to Finnair, who are expanding, and Lufthansa has reached another important milestone in securing its long-term future. Let's begin with the headline story. Southwest, one of Boeing's most important customers, has a very deep-rooted relationship with the manufacturer that dates back to its birth. Boeing has been with Southwest along the highs and lows for multiple decades, and the major airline extended its commitment to the manufacturer when it decided to commit to none other than the 737 MAX. The Boeing 737 MAX, an upgrade on the 737NG, promised to bring next-level efficiency, reliability, and obvious enhancements to customers who decided to order the aircraft type. Southwest believed that the aircraft would be a natural next step to moving forward with its fleet. Ultimately, the MAX has had a bit of a shaky last decade within the industry, filled with several landmark moments that helped reshape how the industry has moved. This included 2 crashes that unfortunately left over 300 dead. Several quality issues that came from this, shortcuts being visible, and poor decisions made internally, among much more. Southwest, relying solely on the 737 family, means they've been one of the airlines most impacted by the consistent problems that have repeatedly shown to us that there really isn't an end in sight, is there? Now, however, according to Reuters sources, the airline's expectations of deliveries from Boeing in 2024 are continuing to shrink, as the plane maker's production and delivery rates fall at a rapid rate, something I've covered in videos in the last few days. Boeing is also subject to ongoing investigations and formal audits, with a heightened focus as well from your airline customers. As a result, Boeing has been barred from reaching the key production targets it had outlined at the end of last year, and obviously has been unable to increase rates as it may have liked. Southwest is now expecting fewer aircraft this year, which could be less than the previous estimate of 46. We're looking at potentially more than half this amount. The newest figure from sources note that only 20 aircraft will potentially be delivered from Boeing across 2024, which is quite ridiculous to say given the estimate of 46 that came in March was still a reduction on what they were initially expecting. While this figure can ultimately change between now and the end of the calendar year for either the better or the worse, such a considerable drop will have ramifications on the growth and network at the airline, and obviously their ability to solely rely on the MAX will drop. Reporting indicated that during the final weeks of March, weekly output dropped as low as into the single digits at Boeing, as increased oversight from the FAA saw focus really placed on the production floor, and how all these persistent issues we're seeing have slipped through the many quality inspections that should have been put in place. Southwest is persistently communicating with Boeing, yes, concerning the inability to get these planes on time, and while these discussions are important and will continue, ultimately, they don't necessarily mean that something is going to change, and they're going to take their toll on the airline's ability to offer a service that it would have liked. And don't get me wrong here, while focus on the 737 MAX delivery delays is a massive focus when taking a look at Southwest, as I've covered here on the channel time and time again, there is also concerns for Southwest regarding the acquisition of your uncertified MAX aircraft. This includes the 737-7. On several occasions now, Southwest has provided a forecast that hasn't been met, and now we've reached such a point where Boeing not only has so many problems, but for an airline, they're incapable of saying when the plane will actually arrive into service, which, how I've been saying just in this segment, does have negative ramifications. Over to some positive news though, Lufthansa has formally reached a pay rise with UFO. This is a union that represents 19,000 of the airline's cabin crew. The German national carrier had been entangled with with several pay disputes for varying positions across recent times that have resulted in strike action threats and worse, actual strike action that has halted the network for multiple days. As part of the new agreement, employees are slated to receive a 16.5% pay rise, which will take place in 3 stages. Additionally, there will be a €3,000 bonus plus an increase in allowances for those crew. Lastly, UFO says its flight attendants will see an overall increase in holiday pay supplements, foreign language allowances, and other adjustments on top of that. The newest agreement is being signed to run until 2026. While the deal involves Lufthansa's flight attendants, it is noted that fellow Lufthansa Group members of CityLine and Discover are in the final stages of negotiations before an agreement can be reached. This is a very important moment, as the long-standing pay disputes amid a turbulent economy left a lot of unrest in the company, with many people living paycheck to paycheck. This is something felt, though, not just in the aviation industry, but right around the world, and these group of employees are doing everything in their power and have now successfully done so to ease their situation even just by 1%. This is not also just the first salary increase in the broader Lufthansa group. In August 2023, Lufthansa reached a long-term deal with its pilots for an increase of 18% over 4 years. And then in March 2024, Lufthansa agreed with a trade union that represents its ground crew to provide a 12.5% rise in crew's pay over the next 4 years. As part of the airline's latest remedies, strike action in these positions has been avoided for the foreseeable future. This a massive boost for the airline, despite now going to see significant increases in the salary when it comes to financial results, but overall disruption to its network can be limited, at least for what it can control. Onto the final story, Finnair has announced a pretty big expansion for its upcoming 2024 winter season and looking as far as the 2025 summer schedule, as it plans to get ahead and plan. As part of the newly announced expansion, the airline says it'll add services to Japan for the summer 2025 program, with additional flights to several locations. In the summer of 2025, the ambition will be to offer daily flights to Tokyo Haneda and Tokyo Narita. Finnair notes that Nagoya will also get a third weekly frequency. Finnair has experienced solid growth across the network, but it wants to improve its connectivity towards Japan, and it is responding with hopefully better frequencies. Away from Japan, the airline says it'll boost services to the United States during this upcoming winter program, and as part of the winter schedule, the airline will offer Dallas services that'll now be year-round and daily. Finnair plans to leverage the One World partner American Airlines' hub of Dallas to facilitate onward travel across the extensive network offered by the major US airline. Finnair believes that offering a year-round service to Dallas will enhance customers' travel options. They will also expand into the northern part of Norway for the summer 2025 season, as well as focusing on several other locations in the Baltics that will see additional frequencies. This is all part of their plan to get ahead of the curve and make sure that their service offering is to the best of their ability. That's going to conclude today's aviation news recap. If you have got any thoughts, you're more than welcome to drop them down below in the comments. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Please take care, do also be safe, and I will see you same place, same time tomorrow for your latest aviation news recap.